Hello and welcome to another video on Microsoft Fabric. And in today's video, we are going to discuss how to read data from Delta Lake tables with the Delta Lake.table m function. So there is a new m function which has been introduced in Power Query, which is Delta Lake.table, and how we are going to use it. So if you scroll down to the article, they have given you how can you read the Delta Lake table. So you can say source folder.content c: delta coffee and then Delta Lake dot table source, which will actually give you the Delta Lake table. So we have been provided this function Delta Lake dot table. It takes a folder. So folder.content is going to return us the content of the folder as a source, and to Delta, which is going to return the Delta table, we are using Delta Lake.table, and this takes a folder content. So the function is taking the folder content as a source, and that's what we are going to use to get the Delta table data. Later on the blog, we have been explained how can we work with the nested structures, how to give maximum depth in such cases. Then we have use statistic equals to false, then how to get the versions if there are multiple versions, then how to get the version, and then how to use a particular version. All these options have been explained here. So let's say there are different versions. Time travel, different versions of the Delta Lake can be accessed using version.value function on the table written by Delta Lake table. Example. So how to get that? So there is a function value.version2delta for that. So there is a function value.version, and if you supply Delta table to it, it will tell you what all versions it has. Then return the following tables for each version of the table, an extra row of the value with null version column for the latest version. So the latest version is the null version. The data column contains the value of type value, which returns the data table for each version. In this screenshot above, the latest version is 3. The row with the version number is null. The latest version returns the same data as the row version number 3. And then you have been given a code to get the data from the version, get version. So for example, mQuery to get the data of version 2 for the Delta Lake table is get version 2 step, which means value.version identity is used. So get version 2 data, and that value.version identity, you can check which version has been used in the last step. So which version is available here. So all these we are going to check it out. So what we are going to do is quickly we are going to explore these options, but from where we are going to get a Delta table. So for that, what I have done here is I have already installed OneLake Explorer, which I have shown you in my past videos, called OneLake, and inside the OneLake I'll go to 01 Fabric, and in 01 Fabric I'll go to Lake 02 Lakehouse, and from this Lake 02 Lakehouse I'll go to tables, and inside the tables I'll try to pick up a table where I have some updates. Like this one seems a good table to have, multiple versions here. So let's me take sales AS01. Let me copy this. I'll go to a local folder in D:01 Fabric, which I created. There's a table already, which I'm going to delete now, and I'm going to paste this one. You have to make sure that your one lake is up and running. I faced one challenge because my OneLake Explorer was there, but it was not connected. So if it is not connected, then it might not be able to copy the data, so that you have to make sure. Now I already copied this here, and what I can do is I can keep this location handy, and once I require that inside the code, I'll use it. Time to jump onto the Power BI desktop. So I've already opened my Power BI desktop here. So this is my Power BI desktop, and inside the Power BI desktop, under the home tab, I have transform data, and under that again I have transform data. I'm going to open that. Once I open that, I need to get the data, and for that I'm going to use blank query here. So under the home tab of Power Query, I have option for new sources, and in that new sources I have option for blank query. Let me click on that. Now the blank query is ready. If needed, I can rename it. I will simply right click here and use advanced editor. In this advanced editor, I need to get my code. So what I'm going to do here is I will bring that code directly from the article. So from this article, let me take this code and paste it here. Now I need to correct my location. So I'll go to my folder and I'll get this location and let me paste this location here and use done. And as you can see, I'm able to directly see my sales table data. This is my usual sales table, which you might have noticed in the past also. I can use detect data type, right? But right now it is reading correctly if needed. So source, as you can see in the source, I have the delta parquet files and the delta log table. And if you go here, you will see records, and in the records you can click and see what all information you have. And every time you have to do is you have to click on the empty space to see the stuff. Now this is ready. What I want here is basically now I want to explore the other commands which has been given on the page. So let's go back there. And the next thing what I wanted to try is I'll leave this nested table part. I'll go directly to the version. So I would like to test this version code. So I'll copy it from toDelta. Actually, I can copy only the get version, but I'll copy it from toDelta. And I'll go to my Power BI file. In the Power Query, right click, Advanced Editor, and I'll replace this code from toDelta. So source and get version value.version toDelta. So value.version function we are using toDelta to get the versions, and let's see what all versions we have. So we have version 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now we have been given a code there how to read one of these versions. So remember the version 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there are some temporary mash versions which is false, and then there is a null version which is also true, but we are interested in checking out these versions with the numbers. If you go down further, a code has been given. Now this code has two parts which I'm going to show you, but let me copy again the data from toDelta, come back to the query, right click Advanced Editor, and in the Advanced Editor let me replace the code. Now what we are doing here is delta.table source, which is giving us the delta which is coming from a folder. So we have a folder from where we are getting the source, get version dot get value toDelta. Now version 2 version, and this number 2 is going to give us the version 2 and the data of that version 2, and then can version identity what current version you are using. So we'll play around with this. So let me press done, and as you can see it is showing the version 2 here. This is the data of version 2. Let me go ahead and use 0 here. There is no data in the 0 version, and let me check the version identity. The version identity is 0. Let me check the version 1. There is data in the version 1 and version identity is 1. So in this manner, if there are multiple versions, you can get that version data. So we have tested now how to use the get version, how to use version identity and all those. So we have seen how these various functions can work. So today what we have seen here is basically how can we get the content of a folder using folder.content. Then how that can be used if it's a delta lake folder, then how that can be used by delta lake.table to get the delta lake data or delta table data. Now after that what we can do is basically we can use value.versions to identify if there are more than one version for that delta lake table. Now get versions and the version number and data can help us to get a particular versions data. Then value.version identity, when we are using the particular versions data, then we can use value.version identity to check which version it is. In this manner we can use this delta lake.table function, and this will add additional flexibility to Microsoft Fabric. Why don't you go ahead and try it out, and do let me know what else you want me to cover in this particular series. Thanks for watching this particular video. Thank you.